This call is a partnership with the Kansas Tourism Division of Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism and TIAK, the Travel Industry Association of Kansas. My name is Bridget Job, and I am the Director of Tourism with Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism. Before we get into our agenda today, just a couple of weekly reminders. Please keep your audio on mute, and a reminder that each week's presentation will be posted on the travel industry section of travelchaos.com and on tiak.org. We also posted on the Kansas Tourism Industry Facebook page, just in case you want to go back for any of the information. On the screen is the agenda for today. We have a lot going on our call today, and we are going to start with a presentation on partnerships with travel bloggers work, and here's why. Then in lieu of our 3 for 3 segment that we've done the last couple of calls, we are doing a special 6 for 4 where we are going to have updates from our 6 regional representatives. And then we are going to end with some updates from TIAK and from Kansas Tourism. I would like to remind everyone that if you have a question during any of our today's presentations, to post it on the chat, and we will respond to as many as we can. So let's start right into our agenda. Our first presentation today is from one of our Kansas blogger friends, Sarah Browers. Sarah has worked with many communities across the state. I know that many of you know her. She's also worked with the state tourism office in telling the story of all the great things that there are to do in Kansas. Sarah describes herself as a travel enthusiast, I can't even say it. She's very enthusiastic about travel. I can't seem to talk today. And she resides in North Central Iowa. She is the CEO of Travel with Sarah and the co-owner of the Midwest Travel Network. And she thrives on helping others make connections that matter. Sarah will travel wherever the plane, train.
Sorry, I can't hear anything on this. Any ideas why? Yeah.
Okay, there we go. We thought it was a good idea to bring on Sarah today to talk about why you should work with travel bloggers, but also to provide some insight on doing so in the current COVID world that we find ourselves in today. So Sarah, thank you for being on our call. And I am going to turn this over to you. Let me make sure you're unmuted here. There you go. Sarah, and just let me know when you're ready to move forward with the slides.
Okay, awesome. I am excited to be here. And thank you so much, Kansas Tourism, for including me today. And partnerships with travel bloggers work, and here's why. So when you guys all reached out to me, I was thinking, yes, this is a great thing. I think a lot of times when people hear the word travel blogger, they go, eek, you know, and they really get kind of scared. So I want to kind of share some things with you today to get you over that. And, you know, I do know some of you. I do live in North Central Iowa. I live on a farm. And the beauty of where I live is that I live in the middle of everywhere. So it's super easy to travel. And I'm just going to tell you this right now, in the Midwest, we are in the sweet spot. During this time of COVID, we are in the sweetest spot on the planet, because for everything, there is a beginning and there will be an ending. And we've got to get our ducks in a row, so when we come out of this, we are ready to shine and soar like never before. So I've actually been a blogger since 2008, and in the social media space since 2008, and in the world of tourism since about 2012. So I've been in this space a little while, and I have spent, here's a little tip for all of you, spend more time watching online than doing online. So you can go advance the slide, Bridget. Thank you guys so much for having me here today. So what is a travel blogger? So I was able to, actually 1 year ago today, I was in Kansas. I was in Kansas a year ago. I believe in between Abilene and Hayes, Salina, maybe around there this time last year. And it was hot. And I don't think you guys are quite as hot today as you have been, but it was hot. So the picture where I'm holding up that card is actually on a beach in Florida. And I want to share this with all of you because I go to a lot of Midwest destinations that don't have that. If your venue, your resort, your attraction had something like this, you would get people like me to go grab that and share it on social media. And on it is the name of the resort, any hashtags that people would want to use. And you can get those on Etsy and some different places. So they're easy. But the key is it needs to be special. It needs to be something a little special for a travel blogger to pick up. Now, if it's something, this is where travel bloggers are a little different from the average tourist. Have something different for the average tourist. The travel blogger will tend to pick up something that is unique and not something that every other person is using or doing. Now, that's not to say you send the travel blogger on the most wildest, adventure possible that the average person can't do. Believe me, those things are fun to do, but that's not always the biggest bang for your buck, is to send me to something that the average person can't do, because I'll get a lot of questions about things. So the picture in the middle, I wanted to share that because I was in Kansas with Melody Pittman, and she and I were out here we are at Monument Rocks out here in Kansas, and these people were from overseas. We learned a lot about them. I can't even remember which country right now. It was Pakistan or something like that, in the middle of Kansas. We met up with these people, and they could not wait to get to America, which I find is fascinating. And then you go over here to Amelia Earhart Days in Atchison, Kansas. I had a ball there last year, and of course with COVID, obviously that's not happening this year. But what happened when I was in Atchison, I got home and I happened to be at an event where our local editor of our newspaper was, and I hadn't met her yet. She was a new person, and somebody introduced me as a travel blogger, and she says, "Oh, well, where do you like to travel?" And I said, "Oh, I just got back from Kansas." And she said, "What'd you do in Kansas?" I said, "I had dinner with Amelia Earhart's niece. I want that story." She told me like that, "I want that story." So travel bloggers are going to continue to share. They're going to share on social media, and they're also going to continue to share when they get home. On to the next slide. So from Kansas City, Kansas to Hayes. Now, what I love about this photo, many of you don't know this. So travel bloggers, what we do, we go into a community, we get to know people. So Melody and I were eating lunch in Kansas City, Kansas, about 7 days before this photo was taken. We met this gentleman at barbecue in Kansas City, Kansas, and he was with some work buddies. They were having lunch. We were talking about what we were doing because we were just starting on this big Kansas I-70 road trip. And they're like, "Oh, where are you going?" And then this gentleman here happened to say, "Well, we're heading to Colorado towards the end of the week. You got any suggestions?" Well, of course, I told him all my suggestions, but I said, "You're going to have to follow us on social media because we're experiencing what's going to happen on I-70. We don't really know yet. So follow us along on social media." And he did. And we were in a restaurant a few days later in Hayes, Kansas with Janet. And this gentleman's in there eating, the same place we are. And he says to his wife, "I got to go over and say hi to these ladies." I think his wife about fell off a chair. So here's the thing. Travel bloggers immerse themselves into your community. They are just not there to, quote, have a free trip, because I hear that from a lot of people a lot of times. They think all bloggers want is free trips. We are in there diving in, getting to know the people and getting to know the community. Fast forward to the next slide. I'm loving this, you guys. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Midwest Travel Network. What we do is help destinations connect with the right people. One of the first things, if I say to somebody that, "Oh, I'm a travel blogger," people say, And if I say I'm an influencer, they go, But if I say I'm a travel writer, "Oh, tell me more." But the reality is I'm all of those people. I'm a travel writer, I'm a travel blogger, and I am an influencer. But this is what Lisa Riggs of the Danish Windmill had to say what the Midwest Travel Network had did for her. For those of you that don't know, the Midwest Travel Network is a network of bloggers, writers, and destinations, all with an interest in the Midwest. Reality is not everybody wants to come to the Midwest, and not everybody wants to write about the Midwest. So we've got everybody together, and we have it's a Facebook group. So if you're not a member, I would encourage you to go find that, and be sure to fill out where you're from, that you're from Kansas, and what attraction you represent, because we don't just let anybody in the group. It's fairly tightly ran. But anyway, Lisa in Elkhorn, Iowa, she worked with the Midwest Travel Network, and we brought in 6 bloggers. We vetted them. The number one problem I hear is people say, I tried a travel blogger once. Well, what happened? It didn't work. Well, how did you vet them? And then people a lot of the time say, what's vetting, or how do I do that? Well, there's number one. You don't invite somebody to come to wine and dine and host them when they aren't interested in what you have. So if it's somebody writing about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and you have these beautiful rocks, the person with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches is not going to be a good fit for you. And I can trust that you will be disappointed in the work that comes out of that. So be sure that you are vetting the right people. And the Midwest Travel Network, I will tell you right now, Lisa is my co-business partner with the Midwest Travel Network. We do pride ourselves on helping destinations and bloggers make the connections that matter. That is very important to us, to get the right people into the right place. It's no different than somebody working for a company where they're not a good fit. You know, the employee may be great, but they're just in the wrong position. So make sure that you are getting the right people into that right spot. So, but anyway, that's what Lisa had to say. And that's a town of 650 people. And out of that, I managed to get her town in print. And I also managed to get a nice radio interview out of that. So, I mean, and then you had all these other stories and other people doing things. So the media that came out of that is quite a big deal. On to the next slide. I could talk about this all day and I've got to cram it all in here. Okay, so content lives on. Bloggers produce the story content on their websites. Bloggers write contents for others on their websites. They write for printed material magazines, newspaper, tourism guides. Bloggers do a lot of things. So I was in North Dakota 2 weeks ago. I want to talk about COVID a little bit here. So I worked with, yeah, that's true. American Road Trip is back, people. I was in North Dakota and I did an Instagram takeover for the state of North Dakota tourism. And on the social media portion of it, what I was sharing was the things that you can do right now. Outdoor activities, anything outdoors. I'm still perplexed, as I was horseback riding, and I did get a private message on Facebook that somebody asked me why I was not wearing a mask horseback riding. Well, I'm horseback riding. And here's the other thing. A lot of people don't understand that in the Midwest here, we have a lot of wide open spaces. You know, there's a lot of wide open spaces where we can easily physical distance. Our physical distancing is not a problem. So I was golfing, I was horseback riding, I was hiking, visiting a national park. I was doing those things in the outdoors. And while I was doing these things in North Dakota, a local TV station picked up on it. They wanted to come do an interview with me in Medora, but I was heading home, so it didn't work for them to come meet me. So we did a Zoom, and I found myself landed on TV because of what I was sharing through social media. But the content on social media was telling people how to travel safely. The content that I'm going to be writing is going to be evergreen content, because the content that I'm writing, if it's tied into directly with COVID, it's not going to be something that you can use over and over. On to the next slide. So American Road Trip is back. I do want to talk about the American Road Trip. Are you sharing the content about your highways and byways? If not, you need to be. So there's actually a group of us, and I'm one of them. There's 12 writers right now writing a book about the byways across the Midwest. And there is a blogger for every state, and we will be showcasing those. And in the research portion is what is happening. Several bloggers are saying that the content for the highways and byways is not necessarily on the destination's website. That is very important to have there. So what the blogger's having to do is dig a little deeper, and they can find the content. And they can pick up the phone too. There's nothing wrong with that. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about, I'm in Iowa, telling about the road trip. I did a 2-hour road trip from my home yesterday. I was gone for 8 hours, went to the bridges of Madison County in southern Iowa, and I had a blast. Now, it was during the week, which I'm telling people is the ideal time to travel. You will not have problems physical distancing, and I did not. These bridges in a normal time of year would have several tour buses there, and one would not be able to even find a parking place, but it was no problem. So I came up with 3 parties of people, and the one party was from Littleton, Colorado, and the second party was from Florida, and the third party was from California. 2 out of those 3 parties had international trips that had been canceled, and they were now doing the Great American Road Trip. The other lady was carting kids back and forth to Grandpa and Grandma from Wisconsin to Colorado. And believe me, she got an earful that she should be taking I-70 to go home, and I gave her a list of everything to do along that route, which she did appreciate. I think she did, because I talked a lot and gave her a lot of information. So those are things that travel bloggers are doing, and people are traveling right now. And like I said, I saw them in North Dakota, and I saw them yesterday in Iowa. And people want to travel, but they're just not sure how to do it. So on to the next slide and how you can stay connected with me. So be connected with the Midwest Travel Network. You can always reach out to me personally. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. You can follow me on Travel with Sarah. You can follow me through all those platforms. But I do have a passion for helping people, find the right things. The other thing is, if you're going to host a blogger, don't be afraid to find out if they, and look and see if they're good at Instagram. Look to see if they're good at Facebook, and maybe hire them to do an Instagram takeover or a Facebook takeover while they are in your town. The added exposure for you, it brings on new people that might, like Travel with Sarah in North Dakota. The state of North Dakota had a ton of new people come over to like the North Dakota Instagram account, which they loved. I mean, and the stats were very important too, because obviously you want to have an effective ROI out of it. So I'll wrap up what I have to say, and I hope some of you have some questions for me, because I'd love to answer them.
Sarah, this is Bridget again. We have had a couple of questions come in. So what adjustments should we as destination marketers, what should we be doing right now in response to COVID when we're working with bloggers? Safety concerns, plans, timing. What adjustments would you advise us to be making?
Let them know, are masks required? If in Kansas they are, you need to bring a mask. Make sure you have a mask. And if you're a destination, I don't know why destinations aren't doing this right now, but I would be ordering masks with your destination on it. I'd love to be sharing that and sporting those all over the place with, destinations on it. Make sure that they're comfortable in the accommodations that you're going to put them in. And the other thing of it is restrooms. I have preached this from the get-go of all of this. The restroom situation is vital to all of this. And my North Dakota trip, I had a trailer. We were pulling a travel trailer, so we did have a restroom on board, because that is a question that I'm getting. My road trip yesterday, I found a gas station restroom and a chain gas station that I feel comfortable with, and a rest area along the interstate. Not another person there, so I was comfortable with that. The other thing of it is, find out if does this travel blogger want to eat meals in a restaurant? Are they comfortable with that? Is carry out better, or will they be bringing their own food? I think that's important right now. And these things here, swag that I've gotten, hand sanitizer, this one happens to be empty, but these things here are sweet for people like me to carry. They're easy, don't take up a lot of space. So that's kind of what I do. And I would be focusing on the outdoor things. I really would. I would not be inviting someone like me to come to some event where there's hundreds of people right now. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
Okay, that's great. How do you feel? We're hearing a lot about virtual FAMs. What are your thoughts on virtual FAMs trying to host bloggers, influencers, writers, instead of in that traditional way when we're bringing them in and driving them around the state? How do you feel about that?
I appreciate that question, because I have no desire to participate in a virtual FAM. I'm going to tell you that right now. I understand that that's a way to showcase that. I can tell you right now, my readers, my fans are not going to like that. Because I'm very honest in what I write and what I do. I would have a hard time with that myself. I would say, let's schedule a time when it's safe for both of us to actually come in person. Now, that in North Dakota, I did not, physically meet up with the tourism director. I did not meet up with Kim, the state tourism person. I did meet up with, you guys know Maria Miller from Atchison. I did meet up with Maria in Medora in her office. So I did meet up with some, but it's not, I wouldn't be doing those kind of meetups. That kind of thing. It can be done. The actual real thing can be done. But again, it goes back to that person has to be comfortable in their travel space right now. Everybody's at a different spot. Some people are comfortable hopping on a plane, some are not. It goes back to that restaurant thing. Some are comfortable going into a restaurant to eat, some are not. So you need to find out all those levels with everybody. But I'm just not a fan of the virtual thing. I know there's a lot of discussion in it. And I know some bloggers in the Midwest Travel Network have participated in a couple, and they loved it. They loved it. So I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, but for me personally, it wouldn't be a good thing for the fan base that I personally have built. So that doesn't mean that it's not an option and there aren't people out there. But I think the challenge would be vetting. I think vetting the right person, because not everybody, I'm a visual person. I think a lot of travel bloggers are visual people. So you'll be, seeing things. I like to kind of grasp it. I can look at it, but if I'm not there, I don't get the feel of it, the charm, the whole thing. And I'm thinking right now of Goodland, Kansas. I mean, I was in Goodland, Kansas on the 4th of July last year. I could not replicate, that could not be replicated virtually, what I experienced there. I can tell you that right now. Could not be replicated anywhere.
That's some great feedback. It sounds, what I would take away from this is that communication with the blogger is going to be so key, probably even more important now than it has been in the past.
Yes. Yes. You don't
Um,
want to get them there and then they say, well, nobody told me I had to wear a mask, or nobody told me that I had to, or I couldn't go to this place or that place. Just, it is. Communication is the key, and it always has been. And I agree with you. It probably is more important now than ever. And with that communication, I'm at Bridges of Madison County yesterday. I had 2 people reach out to me on Facebook last night. And this is the weird thing. One person from North Dakota and one from Wisconsin. And I kind of looked at to see who they were, and they weren't related. They both inquired to me about what it was like living in Iowa and if I could give them the name of realtors. They're looking at moving to Iowa, and they both had said they'd followed me for quite some time. And the Bridges of Madison County yesterday was the spark. So
that's great.
What we do as travel bloggers is what all we do. We cannot, we do so many things behind the scenes that the average person never hears about. It's mind boggling to me that, but those things are happening. Even during COVID, you guys, I mean, these are happening now. And you know as well as I do, in 2 years' time, people are going to be on the move in our country more so than ever before. I mean, people will be on the move like crazy. So, but we're in the sweet spot. I firmly believe that.
I would agree with you. One last question, and then we have to move on with this.
Yes.
So what are the best ways for us to continue relationships with bloggers after their visit?
Oh my gosh. Keep sharing their things on social media. Go, you see some posts, they make an Instagram post like that. Send them a private message every now and then and just say, hey, how are things going? Or I saw you were in St. Louis last week. I hope you had a good time. A little thing like that, even if it's every 4 months, because that relationship is the key. And I mean, it is the key. Because those places that I've been, they're the places that I'm writing. And I myself am getting pitched for, I'm not pitching magazine content. Magazines right now are pitching me left and right, and online publications are. And the one problem that I've ran into is I did pitch a Kansas story. It was a smaller town in Kansas, and they did not, it was an online publication, did not take the pitch because there was not any SEO there. I tried to tell them that the town had a lot to offer, but they said there just aren't enough things online for them. So the message there is, if you have a destination website, you need to really up your SEO game. If you're wanting to get more online content from people like myself for writing paid articles, magazines in general, get that SEO where it needs to be. That's really the biggest takeaway I can give you today.
That's great, Sarah. I really appreciate this. This is some great information, and you've been such a great partner to Kansas. We so appreciate you taking the time to come on and chat, and I look forward to working with you again in the future.
I loved it. Thank you so much for having me. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. I do miss Kansas. I was there a year ago.
Well, we want you back. We want you back. Thank you, Sarah. All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item on our agenda. The last couple of huddles that we've had 3 for 3 sessions, providing an opportunity for 3 communities to each take 3 minutes to present some of their ideas on effective marketing during COVID. So we're changing it up this week to 6 for 4. You can see my fun little graphic I created here. And today we are focusing on our 6 regions. Most of you are aware that at the beginning of 2020, Kansas Tourism started a regional roundtable where we asked each of our 6 regional associations to appoint 2 persons that would meet with the Kansas Tourism Office on a regular basis. We've had, I think, 1 or 2 in-person meetings, and then we've had a couple of Zoom meetings since the first of the year. And the purpose of these have been for the Kansas Tourism Office to hear directly from the regions what their concerns, challenges, marketing plans, and needs are. Plus, it's provided the Kansas Tourism Office the opportunity to get some immediate feedback and input on some of our programs. And I really don't know how the regions see these roundtables, but I have found them personally extremely helpful and important as we've made plans from our office for the future. So today we thought it was a good idea to have each of the regions take 4 minutes to share what they are doing as an organization to market their region. So each region has 4 minutes, and yes, I am timing them. We all know there's no new ideas, and I hope that what you hear from these short presentations will help spur an idea for your region or for your community in your marketing efforts. So I flipped a coin to see which region would start, and Southeast Kansas won. We are going to go in this order: Southeast, Northeast, South Central, North Central, Southwest, Northwest. And this is going to move pretty fast from one region to the next. So speakers, be ready to go when your region is called, and let me know when you want to forward the slides, and I will let you know when your time is up. Let me get my timer ready. Okay, so we are going to start with Southeast, Devin Gorman and Samantha Kudrick. Are you on?
Yes. So this
right.
is Sam Kudrick, and I'll start, and Devin's gonna tag team this with me. So thanks for choosing
Time
us
starts
first.
now.
Okay. Okay, so you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So we just wanted to, the first question was some projects that we are doing to promote Southeast Kansas. So we actually just finished last month our Adventures and Day Trip Guide. So this is a magazine style day trip guide like a lot of you guys have out in your regions. It's published every 2 years, and we work with our Southeast Kansas Living magazine, Joanne Smith, who lays that out for us, does all the work. We help her get information, pictures, and it's a really great magazine style that we love to give out at all the trade shows and things. We also started a Southeast Kansas newsletter. So if you jump on our website, you can sign up for that. And it's just, we want to send it out quarterly, and it's to give updates on events and or maybe like new attractions in our region. The next project is actually a project that's being done by Southeast Kansas Museum Alliance. And their goal is to promote all the museums in our region, and maybe some of those hidden gem museums that people don't really know about, and to get people traveling throughout the whole region to see those. So our group is actually going to help distribute those once that project is wrapped up. So I know they're in the process of it to get it all approved and moving forward. Another thing that was mentioned for projects we're promoting, which kind of goes back to the passport, is just working to promote our attractions and really helping to step in during this time especially, and especially focusing on those that are within driving distance that feel safe to travel throughout our region and kind of close by to come see what we have. Next slide, please. So a few responses that I got from our group on ways that we're trying to recover. There's nothing like major directly from our group that's coming, but a lot of these were like our individual towns that have been doing different projects. So I'll kind of cover those. There was a couple of us have been doing a community give back program. So that's kind of a 2-part. One is where people can purchase gift cards to local places, and then some of our community organizations are giving money back to purchase like for food pantries and things like that. And there's also a community give back program in a sense of if you spend X amount of dollars in your local businesses, you can turn that in to get cash back to spend back in those businesses. Another town, oh, sorry, go back really quick, sorry. Another town is doing, helping provide nicer curbside pickup signs for their restaurants and things and businesses. So a little bit more permanent, just to kind of make it look nicer and a better feel for that. And then also, I know one of our towns is also doing a hospitality frontline worker tour. So we're offering free tours to any frontline workers like your gas stations, your hotels, to get those people into our museums for free to be able to better equip them with the knowledge to promote to our visitors. Next slide. So concerns in recovery, I'm sure every other region has these two concerns, but the ones that we heard, of course, is funding for our attractions. So some of our museums that have lost out on a lot of revenue and how they're going to continue on as this continues to unfold. And then also, of course, transient and guest tax funds declining. So that's another kind of concern that a lot of our region members have as we go on. Next slide. And I will let Devin take it on this one.
So one thing that changed for us is we were supposed to be hosting here in Pittsburgh the Kansas Preservation Conference. And it's been postponed until next year. We're trying to see how our group as a whole could participate in that, since they have not been down here in a while to Southeast Kansas. So something just a little different than just focusing on here in Pittsburgh, where it's going to be able to involve our whole group. And then just offering alternative chances for people to meet. I'm sure all of us are doing that with Zoom and whatnot. So I think we're out of time, Bridget, but there was one last topic.
You are. If you want to just, here's a couple of other things that they have done, because I think you guys are out of time.
Yeah, we just try to centralize a little bit the requests for our day trip guides, so not everybody's getting individual requests. So that was the main thing on that, is a centralized location for guide requests.
All right. And there's some information. All right, we are going to move into Northeast Kansas. Karen Crane.
Hi, everybody. Bridget, thank you for having us today. I just have a couple slides for us today. The first slide just kind of shows the makeup of our region. We are 14 counties with 24 different members from CVB, Chamber, Economic Development, attractions, museums, things like that. We charge $50 in dues annually. We meet quarterly around the region. Right now, just like Southeast and probably many other regions, we are meeting virtually only right now. We devise an annual program of work in October at our planning session, and from that comes everything we plan to do in the next year with a budget, which obviously has been greatly impacted this year. You can learn more about us at northeastkansas.org or on Facebook at Northeast Kansas. Next slide, please. The big thing we wish to promote to all of you today, and that we will be really hitting hard in the coming weeks, is our rescheduled Big Kansas road trip coming up in the Northeast in Brown, Donovan, and Nemaha counties. The new dates are September 10th through 13th. You can go to bigkansasroadtrip.com to learn all about the events and different things taking place throughout the road trip. And Northeast Kansas is the Stump Chat sponsor with Marcy Penner. So if you attend one of those in one of the regions, in each of the regions, you can be eligible to win a Northeast prize basket that we'll be giving away. So please mark those dates on your calendar and go to the website for more information. Hopefully it won't get rescheduled again, but be prepared to bring your mask just in case, as we are now in the mask guideline phase for the state. So, and that's a goat, and there will be goat happy hour. So if there's anything you don't want to miss, it's that one. Next slide. So this slide acted a little weird. Our program of work this year kind of got pivoted a little bit with COVID, but one of the things we've really been focusing on is making sure our seasonal emails continue to hit the mailboxes of subscribers, and those come out quarterly. This past one was really difficult because we were trying to find things that are physically distanced and still safe for people to participate in. You can sign up for those if you'd like by sending me an email. We'll add you to the list. We were hoping to launch Northeast Kansas Bingo this year, which kind of encouraged travelers to go throughout the region and cross off bingo squares, but a lot of our squares were pre-COVID locations that were either closed or had to make major changes for visitors. So we ended up putting that on hold, and we're hoping to edit in the fall and maybe do something a little different. Because of that, we are trying to come up with ideas to feature our members a little more and get out the information on what they're doing. So coming soon, we'll be featuring a member each week on our Facebook so that they can kind of take over the Facebook and then promote their destination from our social media. And then coming up, we are still in the discussion about State Fair. We too were planning a regional travel guide, which is now on hold. We will be sponsoring an item at the tourism conference. I'm not for sure what else we'll be doing there. And we are proposing no dues in 2021. 2021 for currently paid members of Northeast Kansas. Anyone that comes along after now has to pay, but those of us that have been supportive this entire time, even though our dues are only $50, we're just really trying to do what we can to not lose anyone and to just work hard with the dollars that we do have, which are very limited. But we are proposing no dues in 2021 just to help out our members a little bit. We share the sentiment of what Sam just said for Southeast. We are trying to help promote messaging and do whatever we can to help out those smaller attractions and museums. And there's a lot of good ideas and events coming from some of our communities. Lawrence has the promise that everybody's signing a pledge for to make people feel safer when they're shopping and dining in Lawrence. So, you know, we're just pivoting. I think that's a big buzzword right now. That's what we're doing, but we're still going strong and banding together and trying to work collaboratively like always. So that's all I have.
Your time is up. Thank you. And I'm pretty excited about the GOAT happy hour. Okay, so we are moving next to South Central. Holly Lofton.
Yes, go ahead and go to the next slide. This will be quick. Our projects that we probably are most proud of during this pandemic time, and just with collaborative efforts amongst volunteers out of South Central Kansas region, we were able to do a redesign of our guidebook. It's now in its final proofing and will go to the printer within the next week. And our website was totally redone. So we don't look like we're in 1995 anymore, which may have been a good year, but it was a year to not be in anymore. So if you go to visit southcentralks.com, you can take a peek at that. Creative recovery. We decided it was fair to say that we think probably a challenge has been working in silos. But one of the things we feel like several in our group have really been good about pulling us all into is just finding ways to give ourselves an internal moral boost. And one of the examples that we just came up with first, Christina Hayes at a Great Bend put together a virtual painting project that we could all sit in on one afternoon. And we felt like we had a meeting together, even though we haven't been able to do that. And so we feel like our team building has really maybe gone the extra mile during this. And that's been a really good thing for our group as a whole. Concerns, how do we best serve all of our members? I think as a geographic area, as a region in our state, we have the largest city in the state, and we also have very small communities. And I think during this COVID time, we've just been trying to decide, you know, how do we best communicate information, particularly communities that are maybe on the peripheries of some of the larger communities just feel really like they need more information. And we're still trying to figure that out. That's been a hard thing for us ongoing. Funding for our organizations, of course, has been difficult, and funding for those that we promote in our communities, our museums, our galleries, some of those kinds of things. We're just having to look at all of those differently and be really creative and try not to worry about it, as we're all doing, I think. What to do about events? You know, how do we do these things? Do we cancel them? I mean, we've been back and forth as a group talking about this and talking about the creative ways that we're finding ways to answer these needs in our communities, and maybe coming up with different ideas from how we've done things in the past, and then sharing those with others, the things that have worked and things that have not worked as well. And then, of course, sustainability of our hospitality partners. We are just looking at our overnight stays and our restaurants, and what does this look like for them right now, and how do we come alongside them and really help promote their services so that they're here open long-term and they continue to support the retail sales in our community in the way that they do. And of course, changes, the most obvious have been Zoom meetings. We've not gone back to meeting in person yet. We're hoping to do that, I think, in the next couple of months. We'll see how things go. And then a couple of the other things that we've done change-wise, we've individually been making more effort to reach out for memberships. Looking at our friendships that we have naturally with area partners, and just going to them and saying, here's what I get out of being a part of this region and a part of TIAK and a part of these state meetings. And we're just sharing a lot more of this information for meetings like we're having right now. And then we're also looking at ways we get more people from our region to annual conference. We have a lot of small communities with very small budgets, and we have individuals that have volunteered for more than 20 years with no budget. And so have just paid for things out of their own pocket. And so we've been looking at how do we creatively get people to conference, and we've come up with ways we can share travel expenses. Some of those that have a little bit bigger budget have looked at how we can share rooms and car rides and just some things like that. And of course, the partnership coming from Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism has made this a possibility, I think, in a way for many people that it just never has been in the past. So that's what we have to share today.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, we are going to move right into North Central. Gloria, are you on the line? Do we have Gloria? Let's unmute her. Gloria, I'm not able to unmute you. Kelly, I'm going to let you go ahead and do this at this point. All right, Kelly, we knew we may have a problem with North Central, so Kelly, I'm going to let you do their report.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hi everybody. So basically North Central, their updates that they have to talk about is in Lincoln County, they've actually hired someone to install some posts and signs in the county, which will allow people to learn about the area's history while social distancing. It'll include 25 stops, which direct visitors to the website. Cloud County is doing kind of a cool promotion where it's called 10 for $10, where 10 people pay for $10 for a tour, which is a mystery, except for the tour's start location. So it also includes a luncheon or refreshments, and is a great way to showcase their own community off. Saline County, they've got a new promotion that they're working with their Parks and Rec department called Keep Salina Playing, with support of community partners and limited support from the city. Marshall County, they've got they're doing a retail and restaurant rebate program that has helped many of their businesses. And happy to say that Michelle Whitesell is still working 2 to 3 hours a week through the end of the year to help them out with that. And in Washington County, they're still planning the U.S. Highway 36 treasure hunt. And that's basically making sure that each county along the route will be able to determine how they handle visitor traffic and everything. So that's kind of short and sweet what they've got going on there.
All right, perfect. All right, I am going to move forward to Southwest, and I think we have Caitlin, Mateel, and Roxanne Morgan.
I think it's just me. This is Caitlin. You can go on to the next slide, Bridget. So some of the marketing things that we are continuing to do. Last year was our first year for our museum passport. We have 31 museums participating in our 22 county region this year. We're going to kick that off August 1st. We usually kick that off May 1st, but that was delayed due to COVID-19. And the incentive for those museum passports is we give 3 prize baskets depending on the number of museums that you visit. And the pictures are just kind of some examples of what our museum passport looks like. You can go to the next slide. Probably one of our biggest things that helps us marketing-wise in Southwest Kansas is our Rooster Roundup contest. We have 8 communities that participate, as you can see: Dodge, Garden, Liberal, Cimarron, Jetmore, Ulysses, Hugoton, and Elkhart. Last year, we released over 600 pheasants, which were purchased from Beaver Game Farms there in Gray County. And depending on the community and how many birds they order, we give anywhere from $500 to $1,000 or even more in prizes throughout the hunting season. And each county does their own thing. Dodge has a bounty bird contest. In years past, Garden did a $1 million bird. Jetmore does the longest tail feather. So that's really a huge marketing effort for us in Southwest Kansas. You can go to the next slide. Just a few other projects that we were able to get done in kind of our downtime. We got our new Wild West Country guides out before April. And then contingent upon the state fair, what we decided our next meeting, we are hoping to have a booth there as well for the Explore Kansas Festival. Next slide. So as a region, we really didn't do much creative during the pandemic. We all kind of did our individual things. I had a few responses back. Here in Greensburg, I did a Big Well mystery grab bag, which was one item of clothing, which included shipping. And then also through the city, we did $20 in Big Whale bucks to kind of help generate that local economic impact. Jetmore kind of did the same thing. They gave 2 $10 COVID bucks for water customers to use throughout their community. And then I thought it was really cool, Land also put together a COVID time capsule to document this year's historic activity. Liberal did some online jigsaw puzzles and started a historical photo facts series, engaging locals in their community. And then Garden did some coloring pages for the kids and also did a lot of printing for COVID-19 posters. I think that's all I have today. The next slide is just our social media content and then our executive board and how you can reach us.
All right, perfect. We are going to end with Northwest Kansas. Janet Kuhn, are you on the line? Janet, do we have you?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. Northwest Kansas Travel Council represents the 18 counties in Northwest Kansas. We have members that are economic development, convention and visitors bureaus, cities, businesses, wineries. So we have quite an active group, quite a large group. Next slide. Our biggest, I would say this is our largest promotion, and this is our Ultimate Guide to Northwest Kansas. This is a 42-page magazine. We usually have a distribution of approximately 30,000. We've cut that back this year due to the travel has gone down, so we're going to print 15,000 this year. We distribute this at the CVBs, at businesses across Northwest Kansas. We attend outdoor shows and distribute them there. They include information about hunting, fishing, the state regulations, the dates that the seasons open. We also have road trips that are mapped out in detail for different areas of Northwest Kansas. So all they have to do is open that book and they've got a trip right at their fingertips. We also showcase our many scenic byways and lakes that we have in our territory. And we help pay for this publication through ads. Those of us that are active members purchase a full page ad. And for instance, you can pay for that ad through your Convention and Visitors Bureau, or you can sell that full page to different businesses. If you want to sell it to 8 different businesses, you can do what you want to with it. So that's probably our biggest promotional item. Next slide. We do some social media posts and we do some blogs. Everyone has access to that. So as communities are able to do the posting, they just add that on their own. Next slide. We have meetings every month in a different community. Now, since I would say March, we probably have been doing Zoom meetings. We are hoping to pick back up in going to the other communities because we find that really helpful in learning about different communities. So when we're trying to promote Hayes, if I'm trying to promote Hayes, I can promote not only Hayes, but a larger territory and get the folks to do some traveling further west. Next slide. Roger Raby takes care of our website, northwestkansas.org. He does a phenomenal job. We get information to him about calendar, to update calendar. He lists where all of our meetings are going to be, and we're just really thankful that we've got him to keep this northwestkansas.org website up and running. Next slide. Some of our partner community projects that are going on right now, Oakley is promoting a lot of outdoor activities, the Smoky Valley Ranch hiking trails, Little Jerusalem, Monument Rocks, and encouraging overnight stays to take advantage of all these things that you can do outdoors. Next slide. Rooks County, Roger has hired a local firm to redesign his website to be more attractive for visitors and locals alike. He is preparing development opportunity profiles for each community in his county. This helps identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and they will take advantage of those strengths and opportunities to enhance development and growth of each community. And let's see. Oh, did I do Norton? I was supposed to do Norton instead of Rooks. That's okay. Maybe my next one is Rooks. Sorry about that.
You had Rooks. It was up. Your time is up, so I was just
okay, babe.
On a little bit.
Okay.
And there's Norton County. All right. Thank you, Janet.
You bet.
If you are on this call and you are not part of your regional organization, I would encourage you to check them out. I see great value in all of these regional organizations, and thank you guys for being willing to come on here and make a presentation. If you need help with finding the contact for your region, let me know and we will get you pointed in the right direction. Okay, so we are going to end with our final agenda item. We have a couple of short updates from both TIAK and Kansas Tourism. Marley, I am going to turn it over to you right now for your update.
Thank you, Bridget, and thank you for everyone being on. Just a quick update on the statewide mask executive order that the governor issued earlier this week. That executive order is to go into effect on July 3rd, which is this Friday. During the veto session and the special session, there was much discussion on the governor's executive powers. There was a bill that passed that the governor vetoed, and then they came back during special session and agreed upon a bill that would allow the governor to issue executive orders, but those orders would have to go through the State Finance Council and be upheld with 6 of the 9 votes. So the statewide mask order has to go through the State Finance Council and has to be approved by 6 votes. The governor has not yet called the State Finance Council. It will be interesting to see when that State Finance Council meets and if the statewide mask executive order is upheld. The new legislation that was passed also gives local counties the authority to either be more stringent or less stringent based on some numbers of the more stringent or less stringent than the executive order. So you will still need to refer to your county to see how they are handling the governor's executive order. I have heard that there are several counties that have already put county mask orders in place. So please be aware of that. There will probably also be some counties that are less stringent than the governor's executive order and do not require masks in public. So please look to your counties. Please also be aware that the State Finance Council will most likely meet in the next few days and review this executive order. If you guys have any questions, please let myself or Natalie know, and we'd be more than happy to provide additional information. Thanks.
Okay, and then thank you, Marley. I wanted to give a quick update. I know there's a lot of questions about potential funding for DMOs or tourism-related businesses from the round 1 of CARES Act funding that the Kansas Spark Task Force will distribute to local communities for reimbursement of COVID-related expenses and for direct aid for eligible expenditures under the CARES Act. I hope that you saw the announcement that came from U.S. Travel in the past few days that provided some additional guidance from the U.S. Department of Treasury. And it clarified that state and local governments may use CARE relief funding for expenses to remarket convention facilities and the tourism industry if the funds are used to publicize steps taken to ensure a safe experience and inform visitors about what they can do to travel safely and to limit transmission of the coronavirus. That being said, for the round one funding that is being distributed to local counties, it is up to the local county to determine how they will spend those funds, as long as the use falls within federal and state guidelines. So my best advice to you is that if you are looking for access to some of the funds, is to be in close communication with your county. You should be now sharing your needs and ideas for how you see your DMO using those funds that would fit in with the guidance that I mentioned a moment ago. I will also mention that any program or plan that you have, current understanding of the federal guidance is that these funds will need to be dispersed by the end of 2020. This is a very rapidly changing and evolving process, and as we learn more, we will keep you updated. Make sure that you are watching for emails from both TIAK and Kansas Tourism that will provide updates as we get them. So the last thing I want to mention is that registration is open for the October Kansas Tourism Conference. I have registered. I hope that you have too. The information for the grant that from Kansas Tourism to cover registration cost is on both tiak.org and on travelks.com under the tourism industry section. If you have any questions on the conference, on the grant, make sure you reach out to either TIAK or to Kansas Tourism. I am really looking forward to seeing you all in October. So that concludes our huddle for today. Our next call will be in 2 weeks on Wednesday, July 15th at 1 p.m. Thank you all for being on the call. I will talk to you soon. To the stars.